and welcome to your messages. We are now halfway through July 2025, just over halfway. Today is Monday, the 21st of July 2025. So, yeah, I think I've missed a couple of weeks, but I've been in the UK doing some workshops and a fair and catching up with friends and family. And now I'm back in the lovely Spain, which is very hot. So let's just take a breath, center ourselves. Let's remember that any messages that come through, if they're for you, they will resonate. You might get those, some people call them goosebumps. I call them truth bumps. They're actually a sign that you are resonating with the words that you're hearing, which means it is a message for you. It's relevant. If you don't feel anything, let it go on by. So 3 cards have come out already. I think it's going to be a quick one today. Here we go. We have the 3 of Cups. The 3 of Cups is all about celebrating life and celebrating with your tribe. Now, there's different kinds of tribe, because we do have a family tribe. And what I want to say here, actually, I've never said this about the 3 of Cups, so it's interesting. So a lot of people are like, okay, it's my blood family. And a lot of people don't get on with their blood family. And a lot of people are very different from their blood family. And especially if you're watching this video, there's a high chance that you were perhaps, in inverted commas, the black sheep of the family, the one that went traveling, the one that other people didn't really understand so much, the one that maybe went against the grain. And what we also then have, like, our tribe, as in people, we get together with like-minded people, and that's so important that you meet like-minded people, because otherwise you feel like an outcast, you can feel quite depressed. So when you finally find your tribe, this card is very much about finding your tribe, and that's one of the things that we do at the garden retreat in Pago. Although it's closed for the summer, we'll be reopening in September. And it's a good place for people to meet their tribe, to meet like-minded people, because it's very easy to think that you're the only one that thinks like you. Well, actually, on some level, you will be the only one that thinks exactly like you because of your experiences and the lens in which you view your life. But that you will find people that have similar, shall we say, beliefs to you and similar views about life. And it's important to surround yourself with people like that. But I do want to go back to that blood family, because I've worked with a lot of people who have issues with the family that they were born into. And from a soul perspective, so when I studied soul realignment, this became very apparent. And also Dolores Cannon talks a lot about this as well in her work. But we, on a soul level, we choose the family in which we incarnate into. And I often have clients that will say, well, why did I incarnate into such an unloving family, for example? And the reason would be that you came here to learn about love. And we learn through suffering. We learn through lack. We learn very often through having the opposite of what it is that we want in life. And it doesn't have to be traumatic. Even families that get on really well, mine is a good example as well. I have an amazing family, but I was brought up in an environment where money spoke. And a lot of people get their self-respect, their feeling of security, their feeling of freedom, and their feeling of self-worth from their financial status or from their professional status, which, you know, is okay to a certain level, right? But I think the reason that I incarnated into that family was for me to understand that that wasn't me. That doesn't mean that's wrong, doesn't mean I'm right, doesn't mean they're right, doesn't mean I'm wrong. There is no right and wrong, remember? That quote from Rumi that says, there is a field beyond right and wrong, I'll meet you there. All I'm saying is that it was the opposite of how I wanted to express myself. And one of the beautiful things, this is just my journey, this doesn't have to be the same for anybody else. I'm just using it as an example. So one of the reasons I think that I am so happy in the garden retreat is because it is just a mobile home, and we do work from a tent in the garden, and it's simple. It's tiny living, and it's simple. It's in nature, and it's surrounded by natural sounds of like my next door neighbor's animals and things like that. No, it's just really simplifying and um, not not really putting too much value on material things. I've always been a little bit like that. I've never really wanted to wear lots of gold, or I've never been into wearing expensive dresses and things like that. But my point is, I wouldn't have found that out about myself if I hadn't had that upbringing. So we can learn something about ourselves, and our path of evolution is very much one of self-realization. And when we realize something about ourselves from those around us, it helps us, doesn't it? It helps us grow into more of who we came here to be. So we can learn through being similar to other people. So you meet someone who's similar, and then you listen to them, and you're like, oh yeah, I agree with what they're saying. You've realized something. They look a certain way. Oh, I like the way they look. I resonate with it. You've learned something about yourself. They've had similar experiences to you, and they've come to similar conclusions, shall we say, or they've had similar lessons in their life experiences as you. And then you can really consolidate those lessons within you. So you've learned something about yourself. So we learn about ourselves through being similar with other people, but equally, we learn about ourselves through contrast, through being different from other people. Again, with no judgment. There is no judgment here, but there's just, so I have a family member that values gold, mind you, today, it's probably a good idea to invest in silver and gold, but in a demonstrative way, or in a wearing it way. And I never resonated with that. So I learned something about myself, probably through judgment at the time. Don't get me wrong. I'm just saying from where I'm at the moment, it is without judgment, because I can see the bigger picture. People that valued, like people driving Rolls Royces and BMWs, and just wanting all those kind of things. And my first car was a Mini, and it was my favorite car. It's this kind of thing. And realizing something about myself, that I'm practical. That's very Virgo. And if the car goes from A to B, that's perfect. And it's that realization that that's what they're like, and that's not what I'm like. And that was a big one for me, I think, because it's easy then for me. It was easy for me to feel like a failure, feel like there was something wrong with me, because I didn't want the kind of careers that I was encouraged to have. No one encouraged me to be a tarot card reader. I had to find that path for myself. And this is my point. So let's take a little bit more of a traumatic upbringing. So maybe you were born into a family that lacked love. I wasn't, fortunately. There was a lot of love, and there still is in my family. But let's say you were born into a family where there was a lack of love. It's so that you understand the importance of love, and you understand that importance through the absence of love. And it's harsh. That's a harsh lesson to live, but it teaches you how you need to find your own resolve within you and the love that you are. So we we learn about ourselves. I mean, it's the same with all trauma. I refer to this in a previous relationship where I often say that my lack of self-love was being reflected back to me in a very unloving relationship. Um, and then taking responsibility for that, leaving the relationship, learning to love myself. And then you will meet somebody who loves you like you love yourself, because everything outside of you is a reflection of you, right? So if you don't love yourself, you will meet people that don't love you. And if when you do love yourself, you will meet people that do love you. And there will be people that will remind you of parts of you that you don't love. It's not just an overnight thing, is it? Self-love. So whether it's your family or whether it's in a relationship or what have you, all of the families that we incarnate into are actually on a soul level chosen. So you can imagine the souls talking before they incarnate. And there's like, okay, so the biggest life lesson I think is self-love. And it's like, okay, so we're going to be your parents and we're going to treat you really badly. But you're a wise old soul, so you'll learn your lessons. And then the soul will go, really? You're going to teach me that lesson right from the start? You're going to teach me the lesson of self-love right from the start? Oh, wow. That's thank you for doing that, because that's the first major lesson. And the other thing is, when you look at the map of consciousness, at the level of acceptance on that map, it's equal with forgiveness. And that's in the band, the heart chakra band, the green band, the heart chakra. So if you want to progress from the heart chakra into the really authentic blue band on that map of consciousness, I have got a video on the map of consciousness, if you don't know what I'm talking about, where in the blue band you've got love as a state of being, not just an emotion, but a state of being. If you want to live in that state of love, there's no two ways about it. You need to master acceptance and master forgiveness. Now, because forgiveness is such a major spiritual lesson in life, like learning to love yourself, people, our loved ones in the soul world, will want to give us reasons to forgive. So actually, the people that have treated us the worst in our families or in our life, on a soul level, have given us the greatest gift, because they've given us something or someone to forgive. And that forgiveness is the greatest spiritual lesson. When you forgive somebody, you are literally transmuting resentment, anger, bitterness into love. And that's an act of self-love. So you are doing that. And a lot of people hear this, don't they, about forgiveness. It's not about the person, it's about you shifting those feelings, those low frequency feelings of resentment, which can cause disease and illness. We know that as well. Resentment, bitterness, anger, all these things trapped in the cells of your body. We know this from the emotion code, that they can cause illness, disease, overreaction, tumors, all sorts of things. And we want to transmute those emotions into love. And we can do that through forgiving others. So if you are estranged, sorry, there's a lot I'm saying about this card. I was thinking this was going to be a quick one, but these are things I haven't said, I don't think, before. So the Three of Cups is about celebrating with your tribe, but I want to say it's also about resolving issues with your biological family, or any families that you grew up with, because I think that is really important. Another spiritual lesson, of course, is creating and developing unconditional love. Unconditional love for everyone and everything. That doesn't mean letting people walk all over you. That doesn't mean bending your boundaries or anything. No, of course not. You're going to walk away from a lot of situations. Doesn't mean that you have to tolerate abuse. Of course not. But unconditional love. Most importantly, unconditional love for yourself. When you are holding a grudge against somebody, that's not unconditional love, is it, for yourself? But unconditional love as well. So if you are still working on relationships, this is important. This is celebrate with your birth family as well. And looking at life, it helps to especially with parents, I think it helps to understand how they were brought up. When you understand how they were brought up and you understand the world in which they were brought up in, and you understand the lens through which they saw the world and the experiences that they had, and then you understand why they behaved the way that they did. Okay. And that's great. I mean, if you had a very, very poor upbringing, a post-war poor upbringing, then you're going to want material things around you. You're going to want the ability. You know, it kind of makes sense. There's no judgment here. But for me, that makes perfect sense. But it's not about what's right and wrong. It's not about what's good and bad. It's not even about what's conscious and less conscious. It's just about who you really are. Obviously, my soul chose to get excited about tarot. My soul chose to express itself through speaking, through the words, you know, written or spoken. You know, these are things that my soul has chosen. So this is about you finding out what your soul has chosen for you in this lifetime. And if you have an inkling, because it will be something that you love doing, it will be something that you're naturally good at, and it may be something that you are not viewing as a gift. So me talking a lot, most of my life, I didn't view that as a gift. So think about what your gifts are. Think about who you really are and how you like to express yourself the most. And then have a look whether the family you incarnated into helped you find that place through providing what it was that you needed. Or maybe they helped you find where you are now by depriving you of what you needed, by the lack of what you needed. And then what happened was you found it for yourself. And that's the whole point. That's the whole point. That's why parents cannot tell children, you know, what to be and what to do. And that's why a lot of people that follow the family business, you know, often are not happy about that because, you know, they kind of just been, it's left brain, you're just going to do it. That's what's expected of you. It's that programming from childhood that you want to at least question the prodigal son, at least question it, travel around the world, and then come back and go, okay, I'm choosing it now for myself, if that's the case. Or come back and go, no, that isn't who I am. I'm going to go off and be who I really am. So I hope all of that made sense. Look, we've got the 10 of Swords here. So this is interesting because this is the sign of the person who just did as they were told or just followed the path that was laid out for them. And maybe they ended up feeling a failure because they didn't fit in. They didn't feel like they fitted in. Maybe they were, this is how they feel because they feel stabbed in the back, maybe by their biological family or the people they were brought up with. You know, maybe they just kept trying and trying. And, you know, it was like not receiving any love or not receiving what it was that they needed or what they wanted out of life. But these are all beliefs. And so this is all about, you know, being rock bottom. And sometimes we have to be rock bottom. We know that. Sometimes if we're living a life that is a lie, that feels like it's a lie, whether it's in a relationship or a job, the lack of purpose, you know, if we're living some kind of a lie, it's going to catch up with us and we will end up feeling rock bottom. But the beauty of this card is that at least now he knows. He knows that these ideas, you know, these ideas of you need to do this, you need to do that, you need to make lots of money, you need to, you know, you need to let other people know how wonderful you are. Of course, there is only you. So, but there is that energy, isn't there, of like showing off and things like that. And being proud of yourself is one thing, but you know, there's all sorts of programs, aren't there, that we need to actually strip away. And they often say you need to die before you actually die so that you can start again from scratch. And this card is very much about starting from scratch. He has felt stabbed in the back, he feels like he's at square one. And that's often the case, isn't it? People starting over, moving to another country, starting over. Um, and maybe there's one of these swords is a sense of failure, but it isn't a sense of failure, is it? It's a sense of achievement because you've actually realized that relationship or that job or that lifestyle wasn't for you. It's not who you really are. That's an achievement because look where it got you. So starting from scratch is actually a really refreshing and liberating thing to do because at least you're starting from scratch from who you really are. And when you are in alignment and authentic about who you really are, and you know who you are, and you know how you serve, then life just becomes easy, effortless, joyful. Your decisions are all choiceless because the universe will bring you everything that you need because you're in alignment with your divinity, which means that you're in alignment with your destiny. It means that your destiny is coming in. Your destiny is unfolding. And we've all chosen our destiny. It's like as souls before we incarnate. Oh, I'm going to be an artist. And oh, I'm going to be, a speaker. I'm going to be a tarot card reader. Oh, I'm going to, be a doctor and save lots of lives. And I'm going to do this and I'm going to do that. I want to work underwater as a marine biologist. And I don't know, the souls just choose something different and exciting, and how are you going to know that you love the sea to be a marine biologist? I'm going to incarnate into a family that is landlocked, live in a country that is landlocked, that has no coast. And I'm just going to dream about the sea and dream until it becomes a passion. Until when I get to the sea, I'm so in love with it that I've got to dive in and be a marine biologist. You see how it works? It doesn't have to be trauma-based. So yeah, this is a beautiful realization. And then you can start from scratch with who you really are. I think that's a beautiful message with the Ten of Swords, which is usually not a very nice message, but I see it as there's a dawn here in the background. There is a great awakening going on. We're all changing direction. We're all becoming more of who we really are. And it's the most beautiful feeling. Of course it is. Because we've spent a lifetime being programmed into being someone that we're not necessarily by unloving parents, just by people being who they are and by souls who have chosen to play these roles for us so that we can really understand who we are and we interact like that. And then our tribe come in and show us that there is another way. Our tribe come in and we find other marine biologists, we find other tarot card readers, we find other people that like dancing barefoot on the grass. And then we bond with them and we find that feeling of similarity. And once we've discovered that love for ourselves and that self-realization, that's what's going to create the loving tribe outside of you. And once you can forgive those that brought you up, or you can at least see the bigger picture, then you understand that your biological family loved you all the time. On a soul level, they loved you so much that they played whatever role it was that they played in your life, whether it was a traumatic one or just being different one, whatever the role was that they played. Sometimes they might still be playing that role. And maybe it's so that you can master the spiritual lesson of forgiveness and understanding. In that blue band, we have reason. Reason comes just before love. So if you can reason with the situation, it really helps. And our last card today is the Two of Cups, which of course is beautiful because the Two of Cups is all about soulmates and how healing it is working with soulmates. Now, these soulmates, they can be your tribe that you've now come to know, but on a soul level, the family that you incarnated into and the relationships, the failed relationships, the relationships that you're referring to as failed, the friendships that you're referring to as, having failed in some way, they're not failures, are they? They were lessons, and they were souls that chose to incarnate with you to play that role in your life so that you can learn that lesson. So on some level, however dysfunctional the relationship, it served you and it helped you on your journey. Now, this card is often also related to your relationship with your higher self. And I love that interpretation because I do believe the relationship we have with our higher self, or we are our higher self. I have a video about that as well. I'll put it in the description. So you are your higher self, and you have a relationship with your human, with the body through which you are expressing yourself in this lifetime. So have that relationship with your human. You can refer to your human like a child. It really helps. I've said this so many times, but if you had a child that was failing, in inverted commas, you wouldn't tell them they were a failure. You wouldn't tell them that they were wrong all the time. If they had a belief, and they believe in Father Christmas, you don't tell them that they're wrong, that they're silly. You don't like beat them up for having different opinions, and you just hold space for them. You just love them as they are. You just make sure that they feel safe and secure, and you allow them to be who they are. So we need to be like that with ourselves, with our own human, to love our own human, even when we've had beliefs that haven't served us. And even when we've done things that we are perceiving as wrong or failure or things like that, they're not. Just love your human like you would love a child, because they are. They are your inner child and your inner younger person. So when you understand that, it really helps you love yourself, love who you are expressing yourself through in this lifetime. I think that really helps, and it's very, very healing. And also with this healing stuff here, when you align with who you really are, then that's when, as I said, your destiny can unfold. That's when life just becomes choiceless and effortless and joyful. And you see the love in everyone and everything. It's a beautiful place to be. The cups are the water sign. So there is about flowing and going with the flow. Releasing resistance is a big one. That's often associated with forgiveness as well, isn't it? I will never forgive them. They don't deserve forgiveness. They may not deserve forgiveness, but you do, don't you? You deserve to transmute that resentment into love. Don't you deserve to have more love in your body rather than resentment? So it's not about them, is it? But releasing resistance, going with the flow. Cups is also about spirituality, understanding your multidimensional nature. If we're only looking at the physical, then we can only help ourselves from the physical. And that's one of the problems, I think. If you can understand your soul level, your emotional body, your mental body, and your soul level self, and your God self, it really does help on this journey to express more of who you really are, understanding why you have the desires that you have, understanding why you've had the trauma that you've had, and understanding why you feel love towards certain things. I think that really helps as well. And cups is also about, it's the love, of course, but it's also about creativity, being creative. It doesn't matter in what way, but just being creative, drawing, playing a musical instrument, making videos, creating, writing books, painting pictures. Doesn't matter, just being creative in some way, dancing, organizing events, whatever. Just being creative in some way or another. Just walking in nature, playing with animals, just being and enjoying and enjoying that creative flow, enjoying that kind of daydreaming. What makes you daydream? Just like once you're daydreaming, what do you naturally want to do? I mean, we talk about daydreaming, but really daydreaming is a form of meditation, isn't it? And when you're in that zone, whatever comes up is what you are meant to be doing, isn't it? That's who you really are. So yeah, heed what happens when you're daydreaming. So this is a beautiful card to end on this week. Wow. So yeah, I think there's a lot of healing that can be found in looking back at your upbringing through eyes of love and not eyes of resistance or eyes of judgment. I think that can really help. And realizing that we don't all have to be the same, but finding out who you really are is the name of the game. That's the name of the game. Being who you came here to be, even if it means starting from scratch and knowing that the right people are here to help you. Your higher self is guiding you all the way, but also your tribe, where you can find that love that you are reflected back to you in a loving community. And just a final reminder to celebrate life. Celebrate life, because you are life. You are what is giving life to the world. Life is it flows through you. Life is consciousness that flows through you. And then you create life through your level of consciousness, through your thoughts, your beliefs, your emotions, your words, and your actions. So making sure that you are doing everything that is in alignment with your love for yourself. And you can't go wrong, can you? Wow, that feels a little bit different for some reason. Thank you for getting to the end of the video. If you are new to my channel at all, please check out my Lessons in Awakening and the self-healing techniques and interviews and chats. There's a lot of free content on this channel. If you would like a soul reading, an energy reading, emotional healing using the emotion code, heart healing, or a private tarot card reading, I do have what I'm calling all-in-one, which involves the healing, the heart healing with the emotion code to open your heart and to release any of those emotions that you know are blocking you at this time, and also a soul reading, so we can read the Akashic records and find out what you came here to do and who you came here to be, and a tarot card reading, put the three together in my all-in-one. Or you can have a soul reading separately, tarot card reading separately. So check out the websites at deborahjanesutton.com, and I look forward to hearing from you. Enjoy the rest of July.